Everybody, Dixon back here, just thinking about Donald Trump, unfortunately, and thinking about why he's been resonating with so many white folks all over America, and why there's millions and millions of Trump signs in white folks' yards all over America. And the obvious reason is white America loves white supremacy.
Swing! I got a soul that cannot sleep at night when something just ain't right. Blood red, but without sight. Exploding egos in the night. Makes like sticks of dynamite. Red, black, or white, this is my fight. Come on, current, let's be heard. Turn feelings into word. American equality has always been sour. An attitude I would like to devour. My name is peace, this is my hour. Can I give just a little bit of power?
As Black Jedi, the thing I do on Twitter, I've sort of become I don't know, maybe the word is some kind of combination of bored and tired. I'm not really sure like which one it is, bored or tired. But it's I just hate the term bored. Boredom is it's just such a bad word for me, because it means that you find no joy in life, and that's just for me not the case. But at the same time, bored also is sort of a painful feeling. It's a feeling that there really isn't any. There isn't a whole lot of value in action. Right? Not a lot of value in action. And that may be more like, indifference, or if I'm going to enjoy life or find happiness in life, there's certain things that you sort of have to leave alone. It's like if there's a big old giant snake under a log somewhere near where you are at, but it's not bothering you particularly, and you don't necessarily have to pass by it, and it may just as well be just as good a thing just to leave the damn thing alone. Now, I'm not saying that all the things that are going on don't have any effect on me, but I'm a black man. Black man in his 50s in America, but that's not all there is to my life, specifically. So I'm not going to pretend as though that's all there is to my life. I can't speak for other people's lives, but at the same time, what I'm saying is it's definitely not. I'm not unaffected by any means. It's just that as a black man in America, this is just like, this isn't something new. This isn't something unusual. And I guess I've gotten to a point where I'm just sort of tired of speaking to it, putting energy into it, into talking about it, and knowing that you might as well be trying to piss and hit the moon. But what I'm going to sort of share is what I want to share, which is sort of the amusing quality of being on Twitter, at least from my point of view. And the number one thing that I find, I guess, amusing is I got on Twitter in either 2007, 2008, when it was still pretty much considered to be like some of these other social media concepts are now, a thing for teenagers, for the bubblegum crowd. there on Twitter, I found, even at that time, that there were just all these, I don't know, racist white guy trolls. Just, they were out there. I don't know if they were out there stalking the kids or, you know, what the deal was exactly, but, you know, I ran into those fellows pretty quickly. You know, a day or two, a week or two, and, you know, and you run into those guys. And as time went on, you know, and I discovered hashtags. I discovered the hashtag of politics, P2, because, you know, the anti-Obama stuff was really starting to ramp up at that time. You know, showing him, you know, as a witch doctor, and, you know, there were all these racist, bigoted type people were starting to create these anti-Obama accounts and just ceaselessly, you know, just ceaseless onslaught. And they aimed a lot of their, I mean, they posted their stuff on TCOT, but they would be on the progressive, I guess, the politics hashtag, harassing and bullying the people who were on there, who would mostly just be posting whatever their little articles were. You know, privatize their, you know, they would create shutters around their, their accounts so that, you know, nobody could see what they were posting except their friends and followers, and all sorts of stuff like that. Or they would just complain, I'm being bullied, you know, I'm being attacked. And there was a lot of that, just a tremendous amount. So I think at that point, you know, somewhere in there in that 2009 period, it just struck me that the Black Jedi account, that it was Black Jedi 47 is what my account was called at that time. And I just sort of, you know, decided this was no good. You know, it was no good. And I just started standing up to all these people, standing up to them, you know, all these different people that were just all over the account, and proudly hashtagging, you know, the progressive accounts, and even hashtagging the TCOT when I had something to say, and, you know, actively engaging these people, actively, you know, posting what I had to say and going after them. And I reached a point, not to pat myself on the back, where, you know, they backed the fuck up off that timeline and allow people to, you know, to be able to tweet stuff on there that was just, you know, what they wanted to tweet and stuff. And nobody stood up to them. Or very few people, if any. You could count them on, you know, of the hundreds and thousands of people posting, you could count the number of people standing up to them on 4 fingers. And the reason why I'm bringing this all up as amusing, because it's amusing in the sense that, you know, the main critical argument that a lot of the progressives and the liberals had towards their own party or whatever is that they weren't aggressive enough. See, I mean, it's like it's like at some point the irony of this has got to translate. And for some people, the counter argument to that would be, well, they are, you know, they accepted this job. But it's just like, how can you expect people who you elect to be aggressive if you're timid? I mean, how does that work? If you're timid, how can you expect the people who represent you to be aggressive? And this extreme contradiction where you have these really timid people, and I'll say really timid, because that's what you see. in the way they interact with, with things, the things that challenge them personally. So you see these really timid people, and the Democrats win the presidency and Congress. They have it for about a year and a quarter, relatively speaking. And so there's this just extreme reaction that Nancy Pelosi's Congress, one of the most productive congressional legislative bodies ever, just didn't get enough done. They didn't go far enough. They didn't do enough. They didn't, and that's coming from these very timid people. They've got this big old thing that no matter what anybody does, it just isn't enough. It isn't good enough. It isn't, and it was just very consistent around 2009, leading up to 2010. Wasn't good enough, wasn't good enough, wasn't good enough, wasn't enough, wasn't good enough. Well, the things that they accomplished is just like, psh, they might as well be Republicans. And that was the comment. Oh, you get that comment all the time. They might as well be Republicans. Just not enough, not enough. And Obama, oh my Lord, just nothing was enough. No matter what, this wasn't enough, wasn't enough, wasn't enough, wasn't enough. And this, the most vehement criticism always comes from the most timid of people, of groups. The more timid the group is, in terms of protecting, defending itself, and all that kind of stuff, and standing, it's just like the only thing about them that's aggressive is their rhetoric, liberal and progressive. The country is becoming more diverse, more and more diverse. Now, in the midst of the country becoming more and more diverse, this city that I live in has, since the crash of 2008, which was more like a banking crash, right? The crash of 2008, this city has enjoyed tremendous prosperity. And it's used its tremendous prosperity not to forward all of its progressive and liberal concepts, but to actually practice a greater level of economic, ethnic, and racial cleansing than I've seen anywhere. In other words, the country has become more diverse, is becoming more diverse. This city has prospered economically, even when other cities were. And in the midst of that economic prosperity, right, this city has become whiter. And I don't mean it's become whiter in the sense that more white people are moving here. It's become whiter in the sense that it has pushed more and more of its non-white people out of the city through discriminatory practices in housing, discriminatory practices in the job market, gentrification, racist attitudes in the way that it runs its public education system. These four things. It talks about how class is an issue and not race, and all the rest of it, where you get to see the people walking the walk. So that's how I know that the talk and the walk and the timidity and all the rest of it are sort of interlinked. So I didn't know this in 2009 or 2008 or even 2010. It took a while for me really to see it, because I had a lot of hope in my primary driving thing, which was that voting is the most, fighting for voting, getting people to vote is extremely important. I believe that for quite some time. And that along with that, I believe that the majority of people, white, black, whatever, were decent. I believe that. those two things. I believe those two things. Voting was really much more important than we even thought it was or is, and that the majority of people, even if that's just 51% or 55%, are decent, meaning that they believe in fairness, democracy, just laws, and social progress. Even if they don't believe in it to the same extent that they believe in it, at least they believe in it to some extent. So the majority of people believe in these things. All right, so this is I'm going to end the first my first installment right about here.